The following is a special presentation by Allie-RX.
It's my life in the box in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me. You walk by, ask to see me lay face down. Hands on the door, in your hand.
So now we begin the third episode of AKI Pro Wrestling 64. And yes, it's really the third episode this time. Today's episode covers WWF WrestleMania 2000 and Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. Odo Keisho, or Fighting Spirit if you want to translate that part. Or you can just call it Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 like everybody else. And like I said in my last review, WrestleMania 2000 brings back a lot of fond memories. Oh boy. I remember getting this game back around my 13th birthday in January of 2000. I had so much fun with this game, playing with my brother, cousins, friends, all that good stuff. Though that wasn't until the next WWF game came out, but I'll get to that later. I also remember the commercial for this game with The Rock trash-talking his video game counterpart about how he's stealing all his moves and catchphrases and such, and I thought it was so funny. This would also be the very first WWF video game published by THQ, and they have stuck with the company ever since. And to make sure this game meets high expectations, THQ also brought in the same developer of the two WCW games on the N64, AKI Corporation. So without further ado, let's begin with WWF WrestleMania 2000. So we begin the game with this badass intro with all the WWF stars of the Attitude Era beating the shit out of each other and trash talking all over the place, just like they did in real life at the time. My favorite part of the intro has to be Stone Cold Steve Austin standing behind the fire at the end, which is just plain epic. Now the interesting thing here is that this game was named after the pay-per-view of the same name that took place in Anaheim, California around April of 2000. Yet this game was released around November of 1999, about 5 months before the actual pay-per-view. Not only that, the timeline this game is based on is from the summer of 1998, I believe, to around the spring of 1999. And all this was long before the actual WrestleMania 2000 event. Like their WCW games, AKI once again follows the principle of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The gameplay and controls are exactly the same as in WCW NWO Revenge, which was also a great game. But really, the only minor changes they did was rename the Spirit Meter to the Attitude Meter to go with the theme of the WWF at the time, and add the ability to drag your opponent while grappling. And I think this is also the first AKI game to have turnbuckle finishers. Other than that, gameplay-wise and graphic-wise, it's exactly the same as WCW NWO Revenge. Now in terms of features, that's another story. First, let's take a look at the obvious. Thanks to the WWF license, we get a completely new roster, with superstars some people remember very well, and some people don't remember. Big stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Undertaker, Kane, The Big Show, D-Generation X, Mankind, tag teams and stables like The Brood and the Hardy Boys, mid-carders like Ken Shamrock, Jeff Jarrett, Big Bossman, the Godfather, and Val Venis, hardcore guys like Hardcore Holly, Al Snow, and Steve Blackman, and lesser-known guys like Headbangers Thrasher and Mosh, the Blue Meanie, Meat, and so on. And since Chris Jericho was included in the roster by this time, all AKI had to do was copy and paste him from WCW NWO Revenge. And of course the McMahons are in this game as well. This is also AKI's first wrestling game to feature a large number of women wrestlers. The last one to have female wrestlers was Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, and that only had one. This game has Chyna, Deborah, Terry Runnels, Tori, Ivory, Jacqueline, and Stephanie McMahon. Not only that, you can actually use them to beat big guys and main eventers. Like you can beat The Undertaker with Stephanie McMahon. Of course that would require skill, but it is possible. And along with that, you get tons of new moves as well. And of course you also have new arenas to choose from, which are Raw is War, Sunday Night Heat, and the Big 5 WWF pay-per-views: SummerSlam 98, Survivor Series 98, Royal Rumble 99, WrestleMania 15, renamed WrestleMania 2000, and King of the Ring 99. And like WCW NWO Revenge, it has full entrances to make the game more like the WWF is in real life, but they added something new to it. Take a look. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You smell what the rock is.
It also has theme songs and Titantron videos for every respective superstar. Now, of course, WWF Attitude from Acclaim did this before, but those games were mediocre at best, and I'll get to them some other time. Like all the other previous games, it has all your basic matches like single, tag team, and so on. However, this is Aki's first wrestling game to have a three-way match or a triple threat match, as well as a cage match. Royal Rumble is also here, but it's the same as the Battle Royal from the WCW games, and King of the Ring is the same as the Elimination Tournament from WCW vs. NWO World Tour. But a feature that the WCW games didn't have was a season mode. WWF WrestleMania 2000 has a mode called Road to WrestleMania, where you compete a whole year of matches, including title matches, Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, and many more. They even have segments where wrestlers will trash talk to each other in the ring. It's a little repetitive, but it's still an awesome feature for a 90s wrestling game. What's also great about Road to WrestleMania is that, unlike the WCW games, you don't have to win every single match. You can complete Road to WrestleMania even with a long losing streak, but that would greatly reduce your chances of getting title shots and unlocking hidden characters. And if you complete the game and win matches in a certain way, you get to unlock other WWF wrestlers like Shawn Michaels, Jarrett the King Lawler, and the other Mick Foley personalities Cactus Jack and Dude love. But my most favorite feature in this game is the edit mode. In Virtual Pro Wrestling 64 and WCW NWO Revenge, we only got a feature where you can only edit the wrestler's attire. This time, however, not only can you do that, but you can also create new wrestlers. You can give them your own moves, your own attire, taunts, strength, entrance theme, Titantron, and many other things. And only up to 16 wrestlers you can create. Now, of course, this was also done before in WWF Warzone and Attitude for the N64, but I feel that this game has a much better create mode and edit mode than the former two. You can also edit entrance themes and Titantrons for existing wrestlers, except for women though. But here's a little nice feature to go with it. If you pick a specific theme and or a specific Titantron for two or more certain wrestlers, they will come out together in tag team matches. For example, if I give Triple H, X-Pac, and Road Dogg the DX theme and Titantron and pick two of them, they'll come out together as DX. If I give Mr. Ass Road Dogg's theme and I keep Road Dogg's theme the same, they'll come out together as the New Age Outlaws. If I give Big Show, Mankind, Test, and Ken Shamrock the Union theme and pick two of them, they'll come out together as the Union. And another cool thing about Create Mode is that there are a lot of maneuvers carried over from the WCW and Virtual Pro Wrestling games. You might find the Razor's Edge, Jackknife Powerbomb, Diamond Cutter, Crippler Crossface, moves and taunts from Japanese wrestlers, and so on. So if you want to create wrestlers from WCW and Pro Wrestling, you can give them the same exact moves from the previous Aki games. Another cool new feature added is the ability to create your own pay-per-view. You can set up any type of match you want with whoever you want in the matches. You can even recreate the actual pay-per-view events. Speaking of creating stuff, when you're about to start a match in exhibition mode, you can create your own title belts, and you have up to 6 belts to choose from and give them whatever name you want. WWF belt, Smoking Skull belt, Intercontinental Tag Team, European, Hardcore, and Women's belt. Up to 7 belts you can create. Here's another interesting tidbit. Remember in my WCW NWO Revenge review how I mentioned that a couple of the menu songs are based on actual songs? Well, they did it again! The menu's music is based on Psycho Holiday by Pantera. Not that it matters, but I just wanted to point that out. So yeah, while this game didn't change much gameplay wise and graphics wise, there's definitely a lot of other new content in the game, and it still is fun to play as WCW NWO Revenge. However, in this game there are things that I don't like. First off, I don't like the fact that all the attires, masks, and clothes are only numbered and not listed in names in alphabetical order like the moves. I had to keep searching over and over again in order to find the right attire for my created wrestlers. Another thing I don't like is that the only way to create female wrestlers is to clone one of the existing women in the game. Not only that, you can't give them a specific attire, skin color, hair, or mask like the male wrestlers. You can only select the complete body of existing women in the same game and change the color of the attire. But you can still give them a unique moveset and entrance themes. That really sucks because I really wanted to create my own female wrestlers in this game as well. But the cool thing about this is the ability to create a crash test dummy. I don't know why that's there, but it's kind of funny. Also, even though I like the trash talking segments in Road to WrestleMania, since they only talk in text, the least they could do is put background music. I find complete silence in the game really annoying. So to summarize, it's another awesome wrestling game from AKI Corporation. Another goal for WWF WrestleMania 2000. There's also a Game Boy Color version of WrestleMania 2000, but it was developed by Natsume, and obviously it's a completely different game, so I'll get to that some other time. Now we're going to look at the Japanese counterpart. First off, there was also a Japanese WrestleMania 2000, but it's just a translated version of the same game. However, there's a second Japanese counterpart of this game as well, and it's very different from WrestleMania 2000. That game I'm talking about is Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, Odo Keisho, or Fighting Spirit, or simply Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. And I'm going to review that right now. We begin with the intro that has the exact same music as the WrestleMania 2000 intro, and it's just as badass as its American counterpart. Only this time, it has wrestlers from various pro wrestling leagues like the previous Virtual Pro Wrestling games. Before I begin the review, let's get out all the things that are carried over from WrestleMania 2000. Same awesome Aki gameplay? Check. Exhibition single, tag, and three-way matches? Check. King of the Ring tournament? Renamed to just tournament? Check. Edit mode? Check. Road to WrestleMania? Renamed Royal Road Succession? Check. Pay-per-view? Renamed Rally? Check. Create a belt? Check. Royal Rumble? Renamed Battle Royal? Check. Awesome music for WrestleMania 2000? Check. Good. Now let's get on to the differences. First off, the roster. It's huge compared to WrestleMania, and unlike WrestleMania, the wrestlers are categorized into different leagues like in Virtual Pro Wrestling 64. All Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, or NSW as it is called in this game, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, or DAW, and Michinoku Pro Wrestling. In addition to that, we also get mixed martial arts leagues, and they are Rings, Pancrase, Pride, Shuto, and Battle Arts. Now, I don't follow a lot of MMA, especially in Japan, but I am familiar with a lot of Japanese wrestlers here, like Mitsuharu Misawa, Giant Baba, Kenta Kobashi, Keiji Muto, Jushin Thunder Liger, Hayabusa, The Great Sasuke, Taka Michinoku, the list goes on and on. This game also has some American wrestlers like Vader, Stan Hansen, Johnny Ace, The Gladiator, or better known as Mike Awesome, and many more. And if you complete certain parts of Royal Road Succession with certain wrestlers, you get to unlock legends like Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., Andre the Giant, Great Muta, Tiger Mask, Antonio Inoki, Ultimo Dragon, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, or Atsushi Onita, MMA fighters like Rickson Gracie, Mark Kerr, Don Fry, and tons more. We also get a total of 5 Japanese arenas, which are Nippon Budokan, Aki Hall, Kawasaki Stadium, and 2 versions of the Tokyo Dome, and one of them is unlockable, of course. I also love how they show the exterior of the arenas during the selection screen, and it looks really good for N64 graphics. As I said earlier, the gameplay is the same as WrestleMania, but there are some additions to it. Remember in Virtual Pro Wrestling 64 when they had MMA matches? Same thing here. Only this time, they expanded on it a little by adding rounds to make it more like in real life. And another thing that returned is the strike combos from the game and WCW NWO Revenge. And depending on the wrestler you choose, you might get not one, but two specials. And on top of that, the reversals are a lot more unpredictable. Another cool in-game feature is the ability to change referees before the match. You can choose between 3 refs and the third one is unlockable. Kyohei Wada, Dandy K, and Johnny H. But let me warn you on something. Do not pick Johnny H. Hell, don't even bother to unlock him. Why? Because when you pin your opponent, he counts so slow, like this. That's how slow he counts. And of course there's a ton of new moves and finishers to choose from thanks to the ginormous roster. Another major in-game update they did was the entrances of Japanese wrestlers. Unlike in WrestleMania where the superstars have their themes in low quality, this game has some of the wrestlers' themes in crystal clear quality. Here are some examples. However, other wrestlers in the game might use the same generic theme as their entrance. But that's not all. This game actually has a ring announcer on a cartridge-based 64-bit system. Amazing, huh? Some wrestlers get announced by their actual name. Others are just referred to as 1P wrestler, 2P wrestler, 3P wrestler, and 4P wrestler.
1P wrestler, 2P wrestler, 3P wrestler, 4P wrestler.
Cage match is gone, but what took its place was a round-robin tournament mode called League, similar to the Japanese League tournaments in Virtual Pro Wrestling 64. While Royal Road Succession is the counterpart of Road to WrestleMania, it has its differences. Like I said earlier, you can unlock legends, but you can also unlock hidden attires for created wrestlers and other stuff. Finally, they've expanded on the created wrestler feature with new attires, new entrance themes, the ability to have the ring announcer announce your name as an existing wrestler, and the ability to edit the AI, which I think only works for created wrestlers, not the existing ones. WrestleMania 2000 has that feature as well, but I think it can only work through a game shard code, unfortunately. So yeah, there's a lot of new things in this game compared to WrestleMania 2000. I recommend both, but I recommend this game a lot more if you can play imported N64 games. The only thing I don't like is the fact that most wrestlers use the same generic entrance themes, and it gets annoying after a while. I love WrestleMania 2000 and has a lot of fond memories, but this game blows WrestleMania out of the water. In fact, I think this is one of the greatest wrestling games ever made. I give Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 a platinum. TNA wrestler AJ Styles says that this is the best wrestling game ever made. This is a great candidate, but I think there's another candidate for greatest wrestling game, and that's this game right here. Tune in next week for the fourth and final episode of AKI Pro Wrestling 64, WWF No Mercy. And like WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy also brings back a lot of fond memories.